Today I will show you how you can change the background of your current photo in Photoshop to completely new background, match the color to that new background and make your photo a lot more interesting. So let's start. Hey guys, it's Nemanja and welcome to another fun episode. Did you ever been in a situation that you have a really nice photo in front of you and you like that photo, but you would like it even more if you could change the background to something else? Well, today I will show you how you can do that really easily in Photoshop, so without further ado, let the fun begin. Alright guys, today we will use this photo and change this really boring background of a terrace to something completely different, to this cityscape here. And to do that, first we need to select the background, extract it, delete it, put a layer mask, do whatever you want, and then change to another background. To select this background, you can use any selection tool in Photoshop that you want. You can use pen tool, you can use lasso tool, polygonal lasso tool, magic wand, etc. So if you're not familiar with all selection tools in Photoshop, you can watch my tutorial about that right here. Right, I will use the pen tools for that. So let me show you how I will do this. I will press P on the keyboard for a pen tool. Just go here and select pen tool and zoom this a little bit. Just quickly select first window, and then I will go like this to all windows and this curtain here, okay, like this, and I will end it right here. Okay, now that I made a full pad, close the pad, I will go to another window and I will just go all around. So I will now fast forward because I don't want you to waste your time in watching me a few minutes doing this. And I will come back really quickly. So this is the procedure, just select all the windows. Alright guys, now that I have selected all windows, right, I will just press Ctrl or Command and Enter to make the selection out of the path, and that's it. I will now press layer mask and I will have something that I don't need. I have inverted layer mask. So to invert it back to the parts that you want to be left on a photo, you just need to click on layer mask and press Ctrl or Command I. And now we are done. As you can see, we selected out all the windows and we are ready to import a new photo. So I will go and choose this photo, copy this photo and paste it to this document here. Put it all the way down below and make it a little bit bigger by pressing Ctrl Command T, and just by holding Shift and Alt or Option key, I will just drag it and make it bigger to cover the document. Alright, press Enter when I'm done, and this is it guys. We already have really nice results. So now you can play, you can move it all around, you can even invert it by pressing Ctrl Command T, right click and then flip horizontal if you like. Maybe this is better, a little bit better for me. Let me see. Something like this. I will press OK and I can move it even more, maybe here or something like this. Right, I will leave it like this for now, and now the next step is to match the color of our foreground to the background. There are several ways how you can match the colors of foreground and background, and if you're not familiar with that, you can watch my tutorial about that topic right here. Right, today I will show you some other ways how you can do that using color balance, selective colors, curves even, and you can choose whatever you want. There are really a lot of ways how you can match colors between the background and foreground. So let's do it. Alright guys, before I start matching the background, I want to fix something here. As you can see, all my edges here are really harsh. I don't like those edges because those are basically out of focus and we need to make them a lot more blurrier. So there are a few ways how you can do that. You can get rid of the layer mask because we don't need it anymore. Just right click and say apply layer mask, and now you can go select that layer, use maybe blur tool, as you can see here, blur tool, and just with, I'll push the strength all the way to 100% and just blur those edges a lot like this, and you will go all the way around to blur the edges of the image. If you want to blur it more, you need to spend a little bit more time blurring. So I will just fast forward this and you will see me in a few seconds. Alright guys, if you want you can spend even more time learning this, but this is really okay for this example. So now I will use the first tool for today to match the background foreground color, and that's the selective color adjustment layer. I will clip the selective color adjustment layer to affect only the foreground here by clicking this icon right here, and now whatever I do here with those sliders, it will only affect the foreground layer, it will not affect the background layer at all. So that's the goal, to change the foreground colors to match the backgrounds. And here I will just use, in the color tabs, I will just use whites, neutrals and black. I will not mess with other tones because basically whites represents the highlights, neutrals midtones, and blacks represents the shadows. And I will change the color and tonality of those three elements in the image. Alright, I will start with the blacks, and if you see, if I hide the foreground, you can see that our background has a lot of magenta and bluish tint in it, especially the shadow parts, a lot of that magenta bluish tint. So we need to change the background shadows tonality to that magenta bluish tint. So I will go to magenta slider, move it all the way to the right, not all the way, but move it to the right, right? And if I move it to the left, I will add opposite color of magenta, and that's green. So if I want to add green, I will move to the left. So I want to add magenta, move it to the right, and then play with the blue slider. We don't have blue, we have a yellow, but the opposite of a yellow is blue, so I'll move it to the left. So just a little bit, and maybe a little bit of cyan. Just a touch, let me see. And this already looks better. Let me show you, before and after, we already added that really nice magenta tint. So now let's go to neutrals and do basically the same. We can add a little bit more bluish tint to neutrals and a little bit of magenta, maybe even more cyan. And now to the whites, the highlights, and I want to add a lot of magenta and maybe bluish in the highlights. Let me see. This is not bad. I can add cyan or remove it depending on the mood that I want to achieve. Maybe here in the front of window it's a little bit different light, so I can get out with that too. So this is really nice. And let me show you now before and after, before and after. Another thing that I can do here to make this even more believable is to blur the background layer, because background will be definitely blurred out because of depth of field. As you can see, the windows are blurry, so there is a really shallow depth of field, so we need to blur the background. And how much we need to blur it? Well, we need to guess. And the easiest way to change the blur amount after you apply it is to first convert the layer to a smart object and then apply a blur as a smart filter. So let me show you that. Let's go here, right click and convert to smart object. Let's rename this background. Okay, and this is foreground. And that's it. Now we have background as a smart object. Now we will go to filter, blur and Gaussian blur. And now we can probably, let's for example overdo it a lot like this. And okay, this is too much and you change your mind, just double tap here on a Gaussian blur, double click on that, and you can go and change to whatever value you want. All right, and this is one way how you can do it. So maybe this is okay. I will press OK and let me see, unzoom it. I really like to unzoom the photo every time I change something, because I will have different perspective of seeing things, colors and details and so on. So this is not bad, and this is, guys, just one way how you can change the colors. Another way, I will just remove the selective color. Another way is to use maybe color balance. It's completely the same procedure. Clip it to affect only the foreground layer and go to shadows. I like to start with the shadows first, so you can start with the highlights or midtones, doesn't matter, but I like to start with the shadows, and I want to add magenta to shadows. Same procedure, a little bit of the blue and maybe a little bit of the cyan like this. Then I can go to midtones, add a little bit more cyan and blue, then magenta like this, and add to the highlights even more of that. So you can even add a yellow to highlights, because maybe there is really bright yellow light in the front of the window, you don't know that, and it's casting those yellow colors. So this is an option too, but I will just leave it like this. And guys, this is before and this is after, so you can use a color balance tool, or you can use even a curve tools. For example, let me show you. let's use curves and clip it to affect only the foreground. And now I will change the blending mode of the curves. I will put it into color. So in that way I will affect only the colors. I will not affect the luminosity of those colors. So I will go to blue, right? And here in the shadow parts, I want to add a blue. So by moving up, I will add a blue color, right? And in the highlights, I want to add a little bit of the blue, and in the midtones maybe even more. But now I will go to green and I want to add magenta. Remember that opposite of the green is magenta, so I don't want to move green up, I want to move it to the right to add a magenta, and the highlights a little bit more, and maybe midtones I don't want to add so much magenta, so I will leave it like this. And red, we can add a little bit of the redness, right? Or remove it, depends on what kind of effect we want to achieve. I will remove it from the midtones, and I will add maybe a little bit to the highlights. I don't know, let me see. So this is one way of tweaking it, so let me see. Right, and not bad. So this is with the curves. Of course, if you spend a little bit more time tweaking this, you can make it even better. And if you want to be sure that you match color properly, you can watch my tutorial about color matching. There is really nice technique that will help you to match colors a little bit more accurate. Right guys, let me show you back here. This is with the curves, this is with the color balance, and this is with the selective color. So a little bit different results, especially with the curves, because there is no contrast here. You need to add another curve to maybe make it darker, add a little bit more contrast, and that's it. So you can choose whatever you want, whatever you feel that looks the best for your taste, and that's basically it. Now you can merge everything together with Shift Control Alt E or Shift Command Option E on the Mac. Go to filter, camera raw filter, and play with some color grading here. Maybe I want to add even more blacks, and I definitely want to dehaze it a little bit, and go to the post-crop vignetting and add that vignette a little bit, and maybe add a little bit more bluish in the shadows, right? And maybe a little bit more magenta in the highlights, why not? Let me try. Or even yellowish. This is looking nice too, so you can decide what is better for you. Maybe just a touch like that. And of course you can sharpen this a little bit, then you can play with, maybe open the shadows and add a little bit of clarity, and so on and so forth. When you're done, press OK, and you can see before and after, before and after. And overall before and after would be, let me just find the original image, it's here, copy it and paste it right here, because basically I erased this background. You can see I erased the layer mask to show you how you can do the blurring thing. So the overall before and after is before and after. Before this boring background, and after much better, much more interesting photo just by changing the background to something else. Alright guys, and that's it for today. I really hope that you liked this tutorial and that you learned something new, interesting and fun from this episode. If you have any questions regarding to this episode, please leave them in the comments below. I will be more than glad to answer them. And if you appreciate this content, press that like button, share it with your friends, and leave some feedback too in the comments down below. If you want to help me to make this channel even bigger and better, you can do it by visiting my Patreon page. The link is down there in the description, and of course you will get some things in return. Subscribe if you're not already, ring that bell to get notified about all the future episodes, and see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.